What's going on, everybody? ConsiStandSea here. So this is gonna be how I'm gonna somewhat lay out my show. It's gonna be me here. Now I have other screens and other layouts set up for. Let's just say I were to decide to have a guest, which is not no time soon. But let's just say I do want to. That'd be the idea. I also have a scene for me to do also to talk about information and for example, let's see. All right. So example here, I have the wait. Do you see that on? Okay, here. So I have this screen on here with the mouse, as you can see. This screen is going to be for me to reference information, pull it up, make sure you guys can see it, so we can discuss it and have, you know, supporting information instead of just going off of he say she said. I mean, if we don't have anything direct to talk about, anything that we can directly establish or reference, then we have to go with logic and reason. And then with that, I mean, the only thing that we can reference as well is definitions. So understanding true definitions, the true definition of words, and the maybe the misinterpretation of the meaning of a word. So yeah, so the intention behind this show is to talk about topic situations. So for example, I have real ID up here. See, today's show is just an introduction. I wanted to try to reach out to you guys and at least have an opportunity to just express myself and kind of do a trial. You know, the way that I would end up actually starting the show would be this this setup that's coming up. This setup, um, actually start the show. I would have whatever the title of the topic is gonna be. I'd post it somewhere on here. I'd have the chat going so you guys can, engage back and forth. Start the conversation. I'll definitely be watching what's going on. Make sure that I know what you guys are talking about to say, so I can include your feedback and your information. Also, put a title here of the topic that will be for the show. So that's what this is going to be, the basically like the starting of the show, and then as soon as we start getting into the topic, then I'll just transition to the other scene. I hope I'm not having a double mic situation going on. I probably doing that in that scene. I'm probably gonna have to fix that. Um, so yeah, so when we start getting into it, then I'll have a web browser open so that we can reference, like I mentioned, we can look at definitions. For example, one of the shows that I'm intending on talking about, one of the topics is gonna be real ID. The reasoning behind it and how just want to get feedback. I kind of want to talk about it for what it is, based on how it's explained, and then I also want to like inject my perspective. Because we look at IDs. Where we've been indoctrinated. I'm gonna say it that way because it's in my opinion it's just a fact. We've been indoctrinated to see an ID from a government agency as something that allows people to know who you are. But that only has a name. It has a title, it has a number, so it in my opinion it just makes you a piece of property. It doesn't really give you any substance. So for example, in order for someone to know that I exist, yeah, I don't need an ID. I'm alive, you know what I'm saying? Like me just being here, existing in front of you, being able to talk to you, being able to, breathe and round, my existence should be identification. That should be identification alone. Now, as far as, when it comes to names and things like that, that's a whole nother conversation when it comes to that. Because I could see why, based on fear, I could see why people feel that this is necessary. Even a regular ID, like even a regular state ID, I don't see the necessity behind it. I mean, I can see the use of it, but the requirement for it, that's where it becomes, to me, it's proof that you're not innocent, guilty. Because if you have to have an ID to be able to go through the process of trying to establish yourself, yeah. Let me not get 100% into it, because then that'll be that show. I'll basically have that show today, which I don't want to. So yeah, my intention is basically to do that, to just talk about topics and situations in the way honestly feel like nobody's talking about them, you know? So just making sure that, we stick to the facts, and not only stick to the facts, but stick to the true issue, to the actual issue. Not get caught up in, the argument of thinking that it's okay to just accept what exists. Like it's just okay, it is what it is. I'll just, what, just so they can leave me alone, I'll do this. Just so, I mean, we are all guilty of just allowing things to be, but I think we should at least talk about it. I think that we should just make it obvious, instead of acting like it's not obvious, or acting like it's not significant. It matters. And that's my take. That's my perspective. I want to be able to expose things for what they are. You know, I'm not really trying to make it seem like I know everything, because I don't. And I'm not gonna base my show on historical facts. Like for example, I'm not gonna try to let me give you an example. Religion. If religion is what it is, but for example, if I don't agree with certain perspectives, I'm not gonna sit here and try to go and prove the history of what it how it came about, to then explain to you something that you probably wouldn't care to hear. In my opinion, or my approach is more gonna be about, like, bringing to your attention things that in my opinion are very obvious. The way I see it is that if you live your life, and if I feel that if we all lived our lives with the simple standard of saying, you know what I wouldn't like to be done to me, I'm not gonna do to nobody else. What I wouldn't like to be done to my children, I'm not gonna allow my children to do else. you know and that's the foundation. That should be the foundation. Like for example, if two kids are playing with each other, like they're playing in the park, or they're having fun, and one accidentally does something to the other. That's another thing. If it's accidental, kids run around, they get excited, they wants to be stronger, one wants to, it can genuinely be an accident. And if something like that happens, we have to discuss it, make sure that it's understood, but not, you know, theoretically it be an accident, and in actuality it was done on purpose, but just so the child won't get in trouble. Oh, it was an accident, they're just kids. Dismiss it as if it's insignificant, because the fact of the matter is, if the lessons aren't being taught from young, then you're not, those who created that child, they're not taking responsibility over that child. And that's just my opinion. You know, so that's another thing. Like, I would like to try to maintain certain standards on this show, which all that's gonna it's all gonna flourish. It's all gonna come about. It's all gonna be very. I'm gonna make sure that it's obvious for you guys, so that it's no surprise. Because I definitely would like to have a respectful, open, meaningful conversation. Get to the bottom of whatever it is that we're gonna get to, or just talk about it so that we can understand each other's perspective. Because at the end of the day, we're not gonna all agree with each other, and I know that, and I understand that. So I'm not here to force my thought process on nobody. I'm not here to, change anybody's mind. I'm just here to have a conversation and just to make sure that, because I already know everybody's busy. I Because of the way that I think, I know that I haven't been too busy to think about the things that I'm talking of, that I would like to talk about. So because I feel like I have the conversation on my own, and I don't see too many people having the same conversation with me, I feel like maybe I should open up and pour out my perspective for other people to hear. You know, no, not imposing. I'm not here to impose. I'm just here to just shine the light on certain things and just, because at the end of the day, there's so much going on that you just get distracted. When you get distracted, it's like, mm, you don't have time to even absorb anything. You don't have time to analyze. You don't have time to assess it. You're just like, you know what, I'll deal with it later. And then just you got so much going on, dealing with it later becomes not dealing with it at all. So it gets shoved by the wayside. So it is. What's going on, viewer? I appreciate you for stopping by. I'm simply, well, simply just talking about. I'm simply just talking about what's going on. Thanks for stopping by. Somebody keeps jumping in and out. That's funny. Um. So yeah, I'm just trying to have the conversation. In my opinion, the conversation needs to be had because if you think about it, if a lot of us have had situations in our lives. We've all experienced something negative. We've all um, been without something. We've all grown up, and we didn't. In my opinion, there's a lot of us that grew up without actual parental guidance. We had family members, we had parents that were there, you know, showed us love and affection, and made sure that we got attention, the attention that they felt was important. But at the end of the day, like, just because you're physically around someone doesn't mean you're helping that person out. What's going on, viewer? Appreciate you for stopping by. It's so funny. So sorry, I wanted to kind of type something. Didn't want to talk and type at the same time. Thought it would be rude, but me not speaking to you guys, it's also being rude. So let me get back to it. Um, so yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is that a lot of us didn't have role models or actual, how would I say, mentors. We had parents, so to speak, and that's another thing. Like, I also want to be able to discuss the true definition of words, like the true actual meaning and the purpose of the word being used. Because as we go through school, we're taught to use certain words in a very loose manner, and we're not taught the significance of the language. What's going on, viewer? Thanks for stopping by. Thank you, baby. So, since we don't take our own language seriously, what do you think will happen? You know what I mean? Like, it's in my opinion, it's just inevitable. It's inevitable for things to go wrong because you know I've had experiences where I talk to someone and I'm speaking the way that I speak. I try to speak as straightforward as possible, and depending on the individual, I can be offensive because I'm being straightforward, because I'm not either being submissive or I'm not being considerate of someone's sensitivity or whatever the case may be. And it's like, why why are people so sensitive? And that's what I think in my own mind. I mean, it's probably not the right way to think, but it's like, why are people so sensitive? Why can't we talk about things for what they are? What's the problem with talking about facts? Like, for example, some people don't like to talk about certain things because they feel like it's too private, right? Now, it sucks because of the fact that people just aren't genuine. You know, it's hard to know who to tell certain things, because if you do tell somebody something private, if you tell anybody something private, I mean anybody, like random, there's no telling, you know, how far that information is going to go. There's no telling what that person is going to use that information for, but the in a perfect world, or in a more self-responsible, or how would I say, self-awareness, or no, in a society where we would be more responsible for ourselves, it would be good practice to know that. What's going on, viewer? Thanks for stopping by. I think it's good practice to just know what you're saying. Because if you don't really care about what you're saying and how you say it, then how do you expect the other person to care about receiving the message? Because if you take the time out to work on delivering the message, and you deliver the message, once you deliver the message, if you deliver it with no purpose behind it, then there's no reasoning behind the person that is receiving the message to take it seriously, or to even just to care. I feel like I'm going off on a tangent there, but you know, the I just want to make sure that we all have fun here. This is not to judge anybody. I'm definitely not here to judge nobody. Not here to judge anybody. I'm not here to criticize. I'm just here to. I just want to be. I just want to have this environment or platform for all of us to be able to discuss things genuinely. Because you can't really do it on the news. I haven't seen talk shows talk about things the way I feel like they should be discussed. And I'm not trying to make it seem like my way is the best way or the only way or the right way. I'm not really trying to do that. I just want to be able to have the conversation and provide my perspective, so that my perspective is out there just like other people's perspectives have been. You know, I don't. I've seen a lot of things out there, a lot of how would I say, shows, media, and there's not really a lot of substance or genuine information. You know, there's this YouTuber that I like to watch. His channel is High Impact Vlogs, and his the information that he provides is thought provoking, and that's to say the least. That's to say the least. So it's not. I'm not trying to say anything negative because I enjoy his content, but I feel like with his information, he does he does provide a lot of helpful information that should provoke people to at least think about the topics that he talks about. And those topics that he discuss are topics that happen every day. Not only every day, but are happening in different, how would I say it, in different aspects of our lives. So it's hard to kind of like go through something like that and not acknowledge it. I understand that we got work. I understand that we got family. I understand that we got our personal lives. Some people live that type of life. They have a personal life, they have a family, they have all these things, which I get. I'm not going against any of that. You guys, I respect it, you know. But at the end of the day, if we all live in this society and the majority of us doesn't care about how society is ran or how society or how the the specific situations in this society are taken care of, then you know the people that do care are gonna suffer. And not only that, at the end of the day, because the majority doesn't care based on this type of society, because the majority doesn't care, what's going to end up happening is the majority that doesn't care is going to continue to get manipulated into the point that you've been manipulated into a trap because you're not paying attention. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to be able to just talk. I am a straightforward person, so I'm gonna tell it like it is. And what I mean by that is that I'm gonna say it with the defined word for whatever it is that I'm saying. I'm not gonna say it with the defined word to try to be offensive. I'm using the defined word so that I can be direct. So it's not to be offensive, it's not to be disrespectful or rude, just to be straightforward and be genuine, straight up, be transparent. Because if I try to be considerate and use, let's just say, if I'm like, for example, we like to say, or what I've had said is that, oh, I'm from the hood, so I can talk hood, or I can talk, reckless, or I can talk whatever, you know what I mean? But if we're gonna have a genuine conversation and talk about things for what they are, then we need to use the language that we have in the manner that it should be used so that we can be able to have an honest conversation and have a meaningful conversation with substance so that we can come to a conclusion, to a true conclusion, as opposed to end up getting into an argument because, for one, we're letting our emotions get in it, and two, we don't know how to communicate effectively. So I should have probably said it backwards, the other way around. I should have probably said that, for one, we don't know how to communicate effectively, and two, because we can't communicate effectively, we let our emotions get in the way, and then we start to yell profanities at each other. So I really am excited about this. I really want to make this work. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I'm as you can see, I could talk. I can let it go, but I can also listen. So this is not about me. This show is not 100% about me. Definitely is not 100% about me. This show is actually about you guys. I want the show to be about you guys being able to come here and listen to what I'm saying, meaning listen to the topics that I'm talking about so that you guys can come here and express yourselves. And then we can decipher it. We can talk about it. I can provide my perspective to see if maybe I can enlighten you on something that you're not seeing. Because there's a lot of things that I see that I don't feel like anybody else is seeing. Not saying that you're not able to see it, not saying that anyone is not capable of seeing it. Just like I said, there's life. There's a bunch of stuff going on. Might be distracted. You might not have the time to observe and actually be able to analyze the situation and come up to the same conclusions that I've come to. So that has nothing to do with your mental capacity. You know what I'm saying? So this is not in no way a platform to be ridiculed, anything of that nature. I want to make sure that I make that clear, and I'm gonna manage it as strict as possible so that we can try to have a positive outcome every time. Because even if we don't agree with each other, there could still be a positive outcome. We can still keep connected. We can still stay connected and still see, okay, I see he feels about that like this, and maybe that's what I respect how he feels about that. But now he's talking about this, so let's see how he feels about this. You know what I'm saying? And we can stay connected and still have productive, progressive conversations. Because at the end of the day, it should be about progress. It should be about enlightenment. You know, productivity. And it may not seem like productivity for you to, just have a conversation and educate yourself on a different perspective. It may not seem like something helpful, but what if it is? You don't know until you do it. It's like when you go to a job and it's your first time there, or let's just say you graduate out of college. Graduate out of college, you do an internship. You're doing an internship in somewhere where people have experience, people have knowledge. So you're going there to try to absorb as much knowledge and experience as possible, so that then you can be able to offer that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's about. Positivity, progress, and ultimately about consistency. And there's definitely topics that I want to talk about that will be, you know, will touch heavy on consistency. My name, the name of the show is Consistency. The name of the channel is Consistency. So I created that name with the intention of making it something more than just a word. I wanted it to mean something. So I broke it down into three different things. So if you read it and you, well, not if you read it, if you look at the way it's spelled, I broke it into three different. So the first one is consist, then the second one is stand, and then the third one is see. So consist simply means to consist of something. You got to consist of something. You got to have something that drives you, that motivates you, that inspires you, that keeps you going. And it shouldn't be anything negative. If you allow it to be negative, then the only thing that you're gonna produce out of yourself is negativity. Because if the thing that it's like the common thing that has been said is one good thing leads to another, and in the same token, one bad thing leads to another. So you have to be consistent. You know what I'm saying? So if you would like to have a positive outcome in your life, you have to kind of pick and choose and see it for what it is, because positive outcomes don't always mean a robust or abundant outcome. So it doesn't mean that you're going to have all the riches, doesn't mean that you're going to have all the material things, but you'll be good. You'll be able to survive. You'll be able to manage. You'll be good not only with yourself, but with yourself and those around you. You know what I'm saying? So, because if you think about it, if you're good and you know how to manage yourself, and you're not, for example, if you have a lot of stuff, then I mean, you see how a bunch of celebrities, they go through it. They have more than enough. So what happens? People just want to leech. They just want to get on them, try to suck up as much as they can because they see that they have. So you know what? Let me try to get from that instead of trying to get my own. And that's just the way some people think. I mean, it's an opportunity. They look at it as an opportunity. And that's the thing. these thought processes exist out there, and we're not talking about it. We're not addressing it. This real ID thing that I want to talk about. Let's really talk about it for what it is. We already have identification cards. There already exists identification. There already exists not only identification cards, but a driver's license, right? There already exists a passport. You know what I'm saying? There already exist documents that do something, right? That if you simply think about it and you simply dissect it, what it ultimately does is that it basically lets someone know that you exist. That's what it does. That's what that document is supposed to do. That document is supposed to simply, excuse me, weird. So, all right. So yeah. So what it basically does is that it. I mean, let's try to. I really don't want to go too much into it because then that's going to take away from the information that I could provide during the show. So, that's kind of what I want to do is just be able to talk about things and get to the base, you know, get to the base of the information, get to the bottom of it, get to the very bottom, not to the hypothetical bottom, not to the narrative bottom, to the actual bottom of it. What is the problem? You know? Excuse me. For example, I mean, there's so much, but I'll give you little bits and pieces so I can give you an example of what the show's gonna be like. Because I want you guys to know what it to see it as something positive. I don't want you guys to see it at all as something negative because that's 100% not my intention. And and I mean that sincerely. I'm not saying it to bring you in so then once you're here, I can try to make fun of you or ridicule you or do anything like that. And these videos are going to be proof of the fact of what I'm saying. You guys are going to have these videos to be able to use against me. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I know I may not be perfect, and I don't pretend to be, but I can try my best to make sure that I at least do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? No one's perfect, but if we can at least try to do the right thing as much as possible, it makes it makes a world of difference, you know? And when it comes to stuff like that, you kind of have to go to this. But at the end of the day, I mean, but back to what I was trying to get at. I actually lost my train of thought. But simply put, right? I want to be able to get us on this show to have positive conversation, ultimately. Just positive conversation, meaningful conversation. Because I don't think 100, I do not think that I know everything. 100%. I know that sincerely. I don't know everything. I don't think I know everything. I don't think I know even a little bit. I actually know I don't know everything. I know that I don't have it all figured out. You know what I'm saying? The one thing that I do believe that makes the most sense to me is the simplest thing that I've said is if you don't appreciate somebody doing something to you, then why should you allow yourself You never allow yourself to do something to someone else that you wouldn't like to be done to you. Period. That, in my opinion, can solve a lot of the problems, a lot of the situations that a lot of the perspectives, a lot of the problem solving, a lot of the excuses, you know. That's how I feel, you know. But again, I don't think I know everything. Don't. I know that for a fact. So, it'd be nice to have positive conversations with you guys so that, I can also learn from your perspective because I only know what I know based on what I've been through. And this show is going to be something that, based on the feedback of the viewers, hey, thanks for stopping by. Based on your feedback, it's going to help me to learn more, to be able to analyze things with a broader perspective because not only am I using my perspective, but I'm also injecting your perspective or whatever I can understand and be able to absorb to use effectively. So what's going on, viewer? I'm basically just introducing myself and trying to explain what this show is going to be about and how it's going to end up working out. And basically, this is going to be the screen where we'll end up discussing stuff, and I would have, as you can see, the browser. The browser is basically going to be for me to be able to reference any information that based on the topics that we talk about. Uh, I basically use a browser to either get some images, documents, whatever the case may be. Look up a YouTube video and find out whatever information I can find out, or reference it while we're discussing it, so that you guys can see it, you know, real time. Um, yeah, and the intention behind this show is to just be able to have an open dialogue, or an open not dialogue an open conversation about topics. Like, for example, um I'm intending to make my first show about real IDs. So real IDs, if you don't know, they're basically supposed to be implemented by the year 2020. And if you don't have a real ID after 2020, what they're saying is that you're not going to be able to travel domestically. You're not going to be able to travel anywhere. Can't go out of the country. Able? What do you mean by better get with the program? But let me continue. Unless you already know about it. So after 2020, if you don't have a real ID, you're not going to be able to fly. Not even from Florida to New York, or you can't even fly domestically. And it doesn't matter if you have a passport or. Thank you. Sí, gracias. Excuse me. So, for example, you can have a passport. You already, like, for example, even if you have a passport already, you can have an ID. I mean, you can have Social Security, birth certificate. You can have all those documents, but all those documents are what they're requesting you provide for them to be able to then give you a real ID, which is supposed to be a better source or a better type. Okay. So how do you feel about it though? You think it makes sense? Like, you see the purpose behind it, you feel like it's meaningful, you feel like even though we already have all these other documents, you feel like this other one is gonna make a world of difference or provide more solution, provide more safety, or I mean, uh, you could please elaborate. I greatly appreciate it. Because to me, it just feels like it's an oxymoron. Like, we already have certain documents, we already have certain situations. If those situations that exist are not being dealt with accordingly, if nobody's being held accountable in those, like, for example, the passport agency, and let's just say the visa agency that has to do with the passports, all these, the consulate, how, whatever agency that has to do with the, let's just say international travel, if that's the issue, then those specific agencies should be addressed. As far as traveling nationally, there should be no reason why we need. So you don't feel like the system is organized as it is? You feel like everything that we have is not enough? So to have a real ID, you need all these other documents, though. So are all those other documents gonna be no? Because based on what I've read, you need all those documents in order for you to be able to actually acquire one. But it's not even a, it's not a choice. It's supposed to be imposed. So even if you have all those documents that you got initially, because everybody doesn't need a passport, but people get passports so they can travel, whether internet. Well, it used to be that you got a passport so you can travel internationally. So now, even though you have those documents and you've paid for those documents, you're basically saying that those documents and the money that you paid towards them is doesn't matter. Let's just pay another fee so that we can organize something in a. I don't see. I would, if you could please explain to me how it would be more organized, because I don't see it. I don't see how it makes it more organized. I can see how it can maybe make it less of a broader form of documentation of, because but it still doesn't make sense, because if you wanted people to have passports, and passports is what you ask for when people are traveling internationally, but then you just translate that into you needed to not only travel internationally but also to travel nationally. If you do that, then that makes sense because that already exists. So it's less cumbersome to try to keep up or try to catch up to everybody. You know, I mean that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that you're wrong, or I'm not trying to go there. I'm just trying to understand your perspective as far as it's just for organization. Because if I can be real, to me it looks like just for more money, because you would have to pay for that document, even though you already have all these other documents, because it's another federal document that they want you to acquire so that you can prove your identity when you already have multiple other sources or multiple other documents that are supposed to prove your identity. So you need all of those that were created prior to then use those to now pay another fee to get this new one that just came out. Now, if it was something that was free, then that'd be a different story. But I'm pretty sure that's not the case. You already have a passport, you already have this, you already have that. You got to bring that, and you got to get state ID. I mean, you got to get this new state ID. But I don't know, to me, and that's another thing. Let's just say you don't have a passport currently. Are they allowing you to get? I didn't even look into it yet, 100%. I just started reading it, so I don't know 100% if you're able to get a real ID to travel internationally, but you don't need to get a passport. Is it just a real ID? They're just asking you to bring these types of documents for you to. Nah, I haven't got it yet. My ID is good to go. I don't need I don't need to update it yet. I have time. I have years. I renewed mine right before all of this was talked about. I still have some years to go. And that's what I'm saying. So now I gotta update mine, even though I just updated and I paid the fee to keep the extended version of it instead of having to get it updated, or in a lesser time. I'm assuming you have yours. Matter of fact, state. So basically, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Guam, American Samoa, the Northern Mariana Islands. Yeah, I could, but what's the point? I already have one that's a. I have one. I already have a documentation that, according to same people that are telling me to get a real ID, they're basically saying that the one that I paid for recently or previously doesn't mean anything anymore. So that's the thing. I don't get it. To me, to me it seems redundant, and it also kind of seems like a money grab because it's like you're not giving me any value for what you sold me before. Now you want to just take it away and say this is better. That so why'd you offer me this before? You know what I'm saying? Like there's no consideration. I mean, and that's just me being real. All right, minimum document requirements and issuance standards for federal recognition. All right, so I'm just reading here. Minimum document requirements and issuance standards for federal recognition. Minimum documents required. So to meet the requirements of this section, the state shall include at a minimum the following information and features on each driver's license and identification card issued to a person by the state. Oh no, that's not what I'm looking at. I mean, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, so in general, the to meet the requirements of this section, a state shall require at minimum, verification of the following information before issuing a driver's license or identification card to a person. So a photo, identity document, a document showing the person's date of birth, of Twitter account, document showing the person's name and address of principal residence. No, this is definitely not the first time I hear about it. I did look into it, but it was more of a like a glance. It wasn't like a thorough look because I just didn't see the point. I didn't understand the reasoning behind it. So I didn't really give it no mind because I didn't need one. And they were still discussing it. So it at the time that I know that I was made aware about it, it was something that was official. It was more of a discussion. So I'm just reading it here to see what it says. Evidence of lawful status. I hear you. So I'm assuming you got yours then, since you telling me to get it. So technically, or how would I say, not technically, but generally, you're. It seems to me like you're okay with it. Like it makes sense to you. Like you're all for it. You're on board. Like it doesn't matter. Is that your position, or you believe that there's a purpose behind it? Appreciate the follow, man. Appreciate it very much. So yeah, do you have it already? Because I mean, you haven't answered that. You keep telling me that I should get it already, but this I don't try to entertain things like that because of the fact that I don't know. I normally don't tend to do things I don't agree with. What's going on, Stony Hydra? Appreciate the follow. Welcome to the show. I appreciate it. This is supposed to be an introduction show, but Abel has got me engaged. Okay, so I can see that you can trust that it helps, but do you have like okay, so my thing is that I don't blindly trust anything. I like to know as much as I can in order for me to be able to be confident or be comfortable with making a decision that I'm going to trust. Because it's like with anything. If, for example, let's just say I met you in person and I have some personal information, or let's just say I'm going through something personal and I want to express myself, but you're just a random person. I don't know what you're going to do with that information if I tell you. So I can't just blindly trust you just because you're another human being. I'm supposed to just blindly trust that you probably would take my best interest at heart and not talk bad about me, not make fun of me, not make it seem like I'm sensitive, just not ridicule me. So to avoid that, most people reserve themselves because of the fact that you can't trust everybody. You know what I'm saying? You can't really trust everybody to have your own best interests at heart. And at the end of the day, it's really nobody else's responsibility, But we should, in my opinion, we should have a genuine concern for each other. My opinion. So I don't trust it. That's why I like to talk about it because I like to see where's the trust. What is it that you trust, or what is it that you see that will help? How it will help, and are you basing it a fact? Is it a theory? Is it an emotional decision? Is it a logical decision that you came up with based on your observation of whatever it is that you observed? And if you did, please enlighten me. I definitely like to know. I don't know everything. I know that for a fact. So anything that you can, any gems, jewels, you know, helpful feedback, whatever it is that you can provide, hey, I'm all for it. Drop that knowledge. Because I honestly don't see how it helps. I only see the only thing that I can see. Okay. So see, that to me is a very slippery slope when someone says that. So I can respect that you play by the rules. I can respect that. But do you believe that all the laws or all the rules, do you feel like they all are all make sense and they're all right? Or they all have everyone's best interest in heart? Do you feel that that's a fact, that every law or every rule that you follow or that you have followed, you 100% agree with? Excuse me, I'm gonna drink my coffee, have my little smoothie. You know what I'm saying? Keep myself going, even though you know, because another thing that some people don't even know or don't even think about. Another thing, hey, thanks, Stony Hydro, I appreciate it, man. Another thing that people don't think about and don't even look at or observe or just kind of like just separate themselves from is the thought process of blindly trusting or blindly having faith. Because if you trust something blindly, you're technically having faith. So it's almost like being involved in a religion. You know, the majority of religions that I've experienced, they don't have something that they can show you that proves what they believe in. They have, and based on my experience, not I'm not trying to discredit any religion at all. I respect everybody's perspective. I respect everybody's point of view. What's up? You want to take what off? Yeah, I'm almost done. I mean, I'm almost gonna start cutting it down. But let me finish reading what you wrote. You said I don't have a choice. If I would focus on the negative things, I'll just go crazy. It's easier for me to play by the rule. Okay. So now, a lot of people look at things that way. And to an extent, trust me, I know I've been there. I I I used to be in the military. I had to follow rules, whether I liked them or not. I had to do certain things for certain people, whether I respected them or not, or even if they respected me. Because one thing that I'm not, I try to be as humble and as respectful as possible, right? So as soon as someone disrespects me, I treat them differently. But until that person disrespects me, or in any way, I will treat that person as if I would like to be treated. That's how I would treat. That's how I treat the majority of people when they're around me. Sometimes depending on the environment, I'm very reserved and I don't really put myself out there. I don't, I don't choose to be my real self because I like to feel out the environment to see if I'm able to be my real self without having to deal with someone that's gonna react negatively to me wanting to be a positive person. You know what I'm saying? I don't try to be positive to take away all the attention or be the center of attention. I try to be positive because I feel like that's what we need. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I would love for someone to be positive around me, so let me be positive around everybody. You know? That's just my thought process, right? So now I've been in situations where, there's so much negativity going on and it- it's almost like you have to create an outlet for you to be able to deal with all the stuff because it's almost like if you do think about it and you feel like you're the only one that's thinking about it or the only one that recognizes it and no one else cares or no one else is willing to even pay attention to you when you speak, it's like, it becomes that, it becomes, what, let me just do what everybody else does so I don't have to deal with no, that's what it becomes, you know. But then you can never really be happy, you know what I'm saying? Like you could never really live the way you were intended to live, and that could be a topic for a whole nother show, but to simply put that, it's just, do you really think, I mean, okay, so when I normally get into topics or situations, when I discuss them from my perspective and how I look at them, what most people end up doing, because I've attempted, what most people end up doing is they end up jumping off the deep end. So what I mean by that is that if I say what we need to do, if I say something like, for example, what we need to do is that we need to treat each other the way we would like to be treated ourselves. That's what we all need to do. You know what I'm saying? So if I want people to respect me, I'm gonna respect people initially so that they can respect me back. As soon as they don't respect me, I know that I need to go somewhere else because that person doesn't like to be respectful. So if I go that other way and that person continues to try to persist, I'm gonna stand up for myself. See what I'm saying? So it's almost the same thing like when I was in the military. I didn't agree with a lot of things that I had to do. I didn't agree with. I'm not the type of person to do something just because I'm told. If you ask me to do something, and that's how it should be, you should ask me. If you ask me to do something, then you should give me the purpose, give me the reasoning behind it, so I understand. Whether it makes sense or it doesn't. You should let me decide on how I'm gonna how I'm gonna deal with it, instead of trying to make it seem like, oh, that's not important. Just do what I tell you. Shouldn't be like that. But I do get that there's situations that don't make that possible for everybody, because I can handle it, but everybody can't. So you can't really treat everybody the same. And I've learned that. I've learned to suck it up. So what I ended up doing was that I ended up doing what I needed to do to make sure that I didn't get in trouble. Well, for the most part, because in my opinion, when people isolate you or people treat you differently than they do everybody else, you're kind of in trouble. And I don't mean in trouble in the sense that you did you're you're a bad person and now you need consequences, but in the sense that the environment that you're in trouble because you're getting a lot of negativity, and if you don't have any support, it's hard for you to stay positive in a negative environment. You can do it if you're strong enough, but we're all human beings and we all have limits and we all have, what I'm saying, triggers, and sometimes people find them and use them and don't care about nothing else but to break you. But I can go on, I mean, I could really go on a tangent, but I don't want to, I don't want to bore you with that. But at the end of the day, what I was trying to get at is that you kind of gotta. It's like my name, consistency. I created it with a purpose behind it. I didn't just say consistency because I need to be consistent. That was the initial thought, right? But then I'm like, you know what? If I'm trying to make something meaningful, if I want something to be about more than just having a conversation, if I want it to be more than just showing people information that they can find on their own, if I wanted it to be more than that, then I need to create something with meaning. So the name is consistency. That's how it's said, but I spelled it to I basically spelled it in a way to have three separate words. Yeah. So consistency stands for consist, and basically consist of something. you know. And the way I look at it is you should consist of something meaningful, something purposeful, something positive. And at the end of the day, the only way at the end of the day, I feel like it should be a positive thing, you know, because if we allow ourselves to think that it's okay to make fun of other people or to treat other people like crap and to, you know, to do those things, if we allow ourselves to think that it's okay for us to do it to somebody else, but then somebody does it to us and we don't like it, how are we like we're dividing each other, you know what I'm saying? Like we're pushing each other away when at the end of the day, I truly believe we need each other. You know what I'm saying? We're here. We come from each other. Why wouldn't we need each other? You know what I'm saying? Like if my parents made me and then my parents get old, my parents are going to need me when they get old. Because if you think about it, when they made me, I needed them till I got old enough to be able to defend myself. So why would I? And again, I understand there's a bunch of dynamics in between that kind of make things complicated. You're getting my message late. Sorry, it didn't make sense. It's your stream. Also, you were probably saying it's your stream while I was talking about the name. So yeah, I mean, I just when you say play by the rules, you know, I think I think as individuals we need to be responsible, right? We need to truly, genuinely be responsible, right? And and what that means from my perspective is that you have to realize what rules you're following and if those rules affect other people in a negative way, and if you choosing to follow those, if that affects other people in a negative way, then you're choosing to negatively affect other people, which means that if you allow yourself to choose to affect people in a negative way, eventually somebody's going to choose to affect you in a negative way. So it comes full circle. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I truly believe that at the crux, like at the true, at the root, like the seed that the root comes from, like at the seed, if we were to all treat each other the way we would like to be treated, I think a lot of this stuff would, a lot of the drama that we go through, a lot of the negativity that's going on in this world, a lot of the deception, because there's a lot of deception, there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of, well, misinformation. You can mislead people, and that's ultimately what's happening. We're all being misled. We're all being misinformed. We're all being we're all being taken for fools, for insignificant human beings. We're all being taken for that, and we're not. You know what I'm saying? And when we decide to just follow the rules because that's what we're raised into, you know, the rules that aren't beneficial to mankind or humanity shouldn't be in existence. And the fact that they're in existence is because we've been indoctrinated to believe that we should follow rules simply because they're rules. We should follow laws simply because they're laws. But are they providing a better place for us to live? Are they providing us with a better standard of living? If it's not doing that, then it goes against our very happiness, our way of life. I mean, it's weird because there's the Constitution exists, right? And some people take the Constitution as gospel, or some people take the Constitution as the law of the land, right? When if you stop overthinking it, the Constitution is simply a document. It's a piece of paper that has words on it, right? So it became a document because it has words on it, right? So now Certain people signed that document and agreed to the words that are on that paper. Now, everybody that has signed it died. So now we've been led to believe that that document is supposed to be what tells us how to live our lives. So we're not giving an option. Like, you're not given a choice. You're told that's what it is. And if you can't think beyond that, just think about if your parents take you to church. If your parents take you to church, what they do is that they tell you, this is your religion, this is your God, this is how you should live. And as you get older, you start acquiring certain experiences and certain information that allows you to see things differently. So and that's mainly because you probably were a little more open-minded or open to something outside of what you're being told. You know what I'm saying? So you were curious, and the curiosity led you somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? So it's that simple. You know what I'm saying? Like, because of the fact that I'm talking the way I'm talking, what led me to where to be where I'm at mentally or psychologically is because I got curious. Right. So the Constitution is upheld by the Supreme Court, right? So now, as a matter of fact, I would like to ask you, and I hope that this isn't intrusive. Do you mind telling me how old you are? You don't have to give me your exact age, just a roundabout. Like, you can say if you're anywhere, like, are you in your 30s? Are you in your 20s? You don't have to say exact number. 20s, 40s, 50s, whatever. And I asked that for a reason. Because I'm in my late 30s, and again, I don't know everything, but I use a lot of logic and reason. And I also use, like, I mean, common sense. I look at things and the sad thing is that common sense nowadays isn't so common. So I shouldn't say that. I should just stick with logic and reason. Okay. So the only reason why I asked, just to be clear, the only reason why I asked your age is because depending on how old you are, it would allow me to understand basically what level of, how would I say, what level of information you have been at a foundation, like what level of information has been provided to you. Because I know that if you're my age, you went through 9/11. You know what I'm saying? You were alive and old enough to think about it, to analyze it, to challenge what you were told based on the fact that you saw it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? So for somebody to tell you something and for you to see something on TV when you haven't actually saw what happened can be very um it can be misleading if it's not the truth. But if it's presented, by, let's just say, well, we're supposed to trust the media. If we're supposed to trust the news channel, whatever news channel, if we're supposed to trust the news channel because that's how we're raised, then if the news said it, it's true. You know what I'm saying? And if the news shows a video, they say, look, this is what happened. This is how it happened. And even though while you're looking at the video, you can see that what they're saying is happening in the video doesn't seem like it's happening in the video because you're told to blindly believe, you don't second guess what you're looking at, you know? Because from a physics perspective, the way what you're looking at doesn't add up to what you're being told, and that's from a purely physics perspective. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna go ahead and assume I know what happened because I don't, and I'm not gonna make assumptions. I mean, I'm not gonna make accusations because I don't have evidence. I don't have the proof. But I do know that what I was told happened doesn't make sense. So I just stick to that. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the Constitution being upheld by the Supreme Court, right? You got to remember that you were born into the system, right? So if you're born into the system, you're gonna believe that this system is what it is, right? This is I need to follow the rules because if not, they're gonna put me in a cage. That's what you're raised to think. Not only that, since you're little, going through school, you have to follow authority, listen to authority, don't disobey, obey, right? So now you don't go through school to learn civics. You don't learn any civics. And what civics is, simply put, is to learn your personal rights, your God-given rights, rights that you were born with. And if you don't understand that in its lamest terms, the lamest way I can put it, or the simplest way I can put it, is that you're born, you're able to breathe. If you're able to breathe, you should be able to breathe without anyone's permission because you're doing it for your own livelihood. You have the right to do that, right? So now, if we were in a situation where your breathing is taking away from someone else's breathing, then that becomes a conflict. But that's not the situation. You know what I mean? Like that's not the world we live in. That's not what we have in front of us. So if you're able to move your hands, you're able to speak, you're able to breathe, you're able to walk, you're able to create and build things. You see what I'm saying? Like, because of the system that we're built, the system that we were raised or grew up under or were born into, we're taught to think that we need permission to be able to do those things. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, I need to prove that I am who I am. And yet, in the same hypocritical conversation, you're going to tell me that I'm innocent until proven guilty. How is that a fact? How is it a fact that I'm innocent until proven guilty, but I need to prove myself? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, we can get into jumping off the deep end and saying, well, it's because people do this. Right. People are going to do crazy things anyway, regardless. That doesn't change. See what I'm saying? But if we hide in fear and allow ourselves to say, hey, I'm scared, you deal with it. And then a bunch of people do that and they tell that person to deal with it. And we give that person money and that person starts getting rich and starts being able to do this, that, and the third. And then they start being able to manipulate us and start telling us lies and do all these crazy things. And then we're supposed to accept it, not because the people that initiated it are being deceived. It's the people that are generations after being deceived into it. Because the people that created it, they're not here anymore. So they would know exactly how this is supposed to go and what they're supposed to do to make sure that if it doesn't go the way it's supposed to go, how they're going to handle it. See what I'm saying? But because we're generations far in the future, that we don't really know what we have in front of us or what exists, because it's not about us being under authority. Because no one is born into someone's authority. For example, as a baby, you don't ask your mom to breathe. You don't ask your father to. You breathe. You know what I'm saying? The only reason why you depend on your parents in the beginning, the people that created you, is because of the fact that you're not able to do it for yourself. So if the people that created you care for you, they're gonna be responsible enough to treat you the way they would like to be treated. So they're gonna try to do the best that they can to prepare you for you to be able to do the things that eventually you'll be able to do on your own. You know what I'm saying? So it this is what I want my show to be about. Right, but do you know what the meaning of a crime is? Like like the way the system is supposed to work. If you know the meaning of a crime, just write it down. However it is that you know how to say it, or however it is that you believe it to be. I mean, you can look it up. It's up to you. However you want to do it. But I would like for you to write the meaning, what you believe to be the meaning of a crime. I'm gonna keep talking while you do that. So the way the system is supposed to work, right, according to their rules and their standards, right, is that in order for the justice system to get involved in your life, the only way that they're supposed to be able to get involved in your life is if you commit a crime, right? So I'm leaving that up to you to know what a crime is, right? But a crime, when it's committed, that is the only time that you can be able to be summoned with evidence. So that means that someone can reach out to you to say, hey, you have done something that is considered a crime based on this evidence, and it is proven to be a crime. So now, because we have these documents, we need you to show up and prove your, basically state your claim. I mean, not state your claim, but defend or prove your innocence. Because if someone is making a claim against you without evidence, there should be no reason why you should be called to go to any court, deal with any justice system or law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? It's been manipulated and changed. Right, but how can you be a suspect without an actual crime? So would you consider me getting pulled over for would you consider me being pulled over for a busted tail light a crime? In order for you to be a suspect, there has to be evidence, though. You can't just be accused of something without any evidence. Because how many? I mean, think about how many sensitive people would accuse people of stuff. I mean, it is being done, but that's not how it's supposed to work. You know what I'm saying? And nobody really knows that because you don't get taught. We as a collective don't get taught civics. The only way that you're gonna learn about the law is by doing your own research, and it helps to know someone that practices law so that you can see the perspective. Saying not only will you see the perspective, but you can also enlighten because, well, you have to be in a specific position to be able to enlighten a lawyer or someone who practices law because a lot of times they're firm in their position because they have been indoctrinated for over 8 years, believe that what they believe in is indisputably a fact or undisputed fact, which is it's up to the individual. You know what I'm saying? The way the system works is all by consent. The way this system, this society working, the majority of these government agencies or corporate agencies or however you want to look at it. That's another thing. We had a government or still exists, but if you're not, if you are older than 30 years old, right, you would see how there is so many more government agencies now than there were before. And the crazy thing about that is that a lot of these agencies are not actual government agencies. What's going on, Tony Turbo? I'm over here politicking, not politicking. I'm actually just, having a conversation, man. Yeah, man, I'm trying to do a show, man. I'm trying to talk about stuff and try to, try to inject my perspective and listen to other people's perspectives so I can not only make myself knowledgeable, but, help people see or show people what the way I look at things. You know what I'm saying? Glad you stopped by, man. I appreciate it. I saw you playing Street Fighter the other day, man. I was watching you. Street Fighter 4, I think it was. The Kuma. Yeah, so my bad. I didn't mean to get distracted. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, man. So it's crazy because it's all by consent. I mean, like if the simplest way to put it is that if yeah, buddy, the simplest way to put it is that if let's just say I own something, right, and I put it in my front lawn, and somebody takes it, right, but they're but I'm sitting in my front lawn. So I'm sitting in my front lawn. I put something in my front lawn. It's maybe 5 feet from me, and somebody's walking by and they try to take it. Yeah, buddy. Free time is great time. So if I leave it in the lawn and it's on, let's just say it's 3 feet from me, it's my property, right? So now if somebody walks by and they just take it and keep walking, and I don't say anything, it's theirs. It becomes theirs now, according to the they think so. It becomes theirs now. It's their property. They can do what they want with it. But if I stand up to it and I contest or challenge it, say, hey, what are you doing? That's in mine. Now it becomes a situation because I stood up for myself. I'm not just taking it. I'm not just accepting it. You know what I'm saying? So that's that's where a lot of things happen with people as far as even with like let's just say tickets. If you get a bunch of tickets and you don't acknowledge them, I mean you got to know how to acknowledge them to deal with them like effectively, not just pay for them. But to deal with them, you have to respond. But if you don't respond, what they do is that they start adding more stuff. You just keep on adding more stuff. Why? Because you're not contesting it. You're not challenging it. So they're able to continue to pile stuff on you. You know what I'm saying? So it's basically silence is consent. That's how they look at it, which is deceitful as hell, which is wrong as hell. And if somebody does that to me, why would I respect somebody that does that to me? That's a lack of respect. I would never do that to somebody. I would never, like, for example, somebody has allowed me to stay in their house, bunch of stuff around, nice stuff. You know what I'm saying? That the dude is a friend. He let me stay there. You know what I'm saying? I fit into his clothes. I'd be a complete dumb person to just start wearing his stuff because he ain't around, or start eating his food without bringing my own, or if I eat the same thing they eat, you know provide some as well. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just it's just things that eh, I feel like it just goes right back to the the perspective that I try to stick to. Treat others the way. Do not do something to someone that you wouldn't like to be done to you. Bottom line. You don't have to be nice to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to go out there and give people money. You don't have to go out there and help people just because. You don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's a choice. You can if you want to. That's more for self gratification. But at the end of the day, if you are that type of person that you don't care to help nobody, at the very least, you shouldn't take or do negativity towards others. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not gonna be helpful and you're just gonna, do the bare minimum so you can just manage because that's how you are, then that's fine. But once you start taking away from others or treating others with negativity and you start treating people a certain way that is just not productive or progressive, it's like what are you doing? Like it doesn't this if we inject negativity into an environment, the negativity is going to go full circle and it's only going to get worse and worse because not everyone is capable of dealing with it. So depending how that person reacts to it or how that person absorbs it, they're going to react in a manner that might be even more negative. You know what I'm saying? So don't one bad thing leads to another, just like one good thing leads to another. So that's since I understand that and I see the reasoning behind it, I've I I say it. I continue to say the same thing. You don't treat others the way you wouldn't like to be treated. You know what I'm saying? If you genuinely would like people to be helpful or to be positive towards you, you know what I'm saying? If that's what you genuinely would like, then why not be that way? Why not be like that towards others? It's like I said, I try to show people as much respect and I try to be as humble as possible. Why? Not because I think I'm the best, not because I think I'm better than anybody, but because at the end of the day, that's how I would like to be treated. So I'm gonna respect people. I'm gonna be humble. Because even if somebody is better than me, or even if I'm better than somebody, let's just say for example, I used to train. I used to do jiu-jitsu, and I was pretty good. I felt like I was pretty good. So when it came to training, I never tried to make it seem like I was better than anybody. Even when I felt like I had an advantage, I just tried to learn. I tried to use it as an outlet. Let me not just take advantage of somebody because they're not as capable as I am. Because in my opinion, what's the point? I don't I don't want to know how to defend myself, or I don't want to know how to fight or how to do certain things to take advantage of others. I want to know how to do it in case I need it. In case there's a moment where I'm put in a situation where my life's at risk and I need to put these resources to use or take these tools out of my tool bag and do something with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it should be, in my opinion. But it's like, I don't know if you ever watch World Star. World Star, they be having some videos that I'd be like, ooh, wee. People be as far as fights, like I see situations where whether it's a dude or a girl or girls, dudes or girls, or guys or girls, however you want to say it, and they're one will connect, the other one drops, and after that person drops, they continue. Like they'll stomp them, they'll kick their head like a football, and they're unconscious, but they'll continue to just beat on them. And I can't see myself doing that. Like if I get into a situation and someone comes up to me and I have to defend myself and I end up connecting to the point that they fall, like they drop, I'm backing up because that's the reason for you to know how to defend yourself is to break contact. It's not to continue to make impact. Because obviously if you connected correctly the first time or if you connected effectively, wow, at a certain point, that person's just not gonna want no more. And once they don't want no more, that should be it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's and the unfortunate thing is that those things can transpire to other things because obviously some people can't take a loss. Some people emotionally can't take a loss and they feel like they have to kill somebody. They feel like they have to take it there. It's like really, like you didn't want to learn from your ass whooping. You want to just kill somebody so you could be in jail for the rest of your life. Yeah, I mean it's crazy. It's crazy, man. I just can't see myself doing that. I can't. I don't. I'm not gonna say that I'm a messiah or anything like that, but I feel good knowing that people around me are good. If I see that people are going through something, it kind of, you know, it doesn't ruin me, but it doesn't, I would like to be able to put myself in a position where I can help. You know what I'm saying? And if I can't help by providing, let's just say, a financial means, then you know what? Just let's come through. Let's play a video game, or let's talk, or let's make some food, or you know what I mean, like let's go for a walk, or you know what I mean, you want to train a little bit. Well, I can't really do much because I'm hurt, but you know what I mean, like there's other ways to kind of and not only that, like I was trying to say in the beginning, I don't think you was here when I was saying it, but a lot of us grow up and we don't have mentors. We don't have role models. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't have nobody guiding us or giving us direction. And and that's to kind of point out that a lot of us raise ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, my mom was in my life over to death. You know what I'm saying? Because she gave me the love that I needed. She gave me the attention that I needed based on what she could or how she knew. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't, in my opinion, this may sound sexist, but I don't mean it that way. I feel like it takes a man to raise a man. I don't feel like a woman show a man how to be a man. But in the same token, that man has to know how to be a man, because there's a lot of grown guys out there that really don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying I have it all figured out. Trust and believe. I'm not trying to say that. No, sir, not me. Not trying to say I have it figured out. No, but I'm trying. And what I mean by I'm trying is that I'm implementing the things that I learn as I learn. I'm not just making mistakes and continuing to use. Oh well, that's just the way guys are. That's just what we do. I'm not using that. And so that's one simple way to put it. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of dudes, and I'm not knocking you. Do live the way you want to live. Do you? I'm saying, but the reality is that when you choose to live a certain lifestyle, it takes away from you being able to be what you need to be in a family. Like if you're a father, you I don't want to use those words, but if you created another human being, let's just be real. If you created another human being, you have to try your best to be the best that you can be, so that you can show that person how to be the best they can. Now, it doesn't always work out like that, because the fact of the matter is that, you know, a lot of kids are being born out of wedlock, meaning they're not married, or the situation wasn't a great one and there's a divorce, or it's just not happy. Or even if, let's just say, because there's situations where the the people that created the child go separate ways, but they're able to communicate effectively to be able to still provide something for that child, that can allow that child to manifest into something, you know what I mean, something that they can be appreciative of, but at the end of the, but back to what I was, back to me, right? I didn't have that guidance because my mom raised me by herself. So I had to kind of figure things out on my own. So I've made certain decisions in my life that kind of put me in situations where I had to think. I had to think, because I don't. My mom gave me certain standards and certain morals, gave them to me. She showed me and taught me them. And of course, when we're young, we're kids, we don't get it, we don't understand it. We're just like, but then it starts to make sense when you become what they were to you, what they were trying to be for you. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm trying to do it for my kids. You know, even though I don't have an ideal situation, because the fact of the matter is, it's just not what it is. Not, I don't have an ideal situation, but but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't try. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't make an attempt by doing things the way I'm able to do things. Because it's one thing for people to expect for you to do something simply because they have this figment in their imagination that you're supposed to do things a certain way, but then you're only able to do so much. You know what I'm saying? So now, because you're not conforming, now now you are ridiculed, which is not only not fair, but I don't think it's right. You know what I'm saying? I don't I don't try to be negative anyway. So even when I talk to my kids, I don't say nothing negative about nobody. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what it is. And even if they were to ask me, because I know they have asked me, so what happened? So what's going on? So what? I'm like, I. You guys are old enough. Like when you guys become adults, like grown ass. When you guys are more mature, I should have said. When they're when I feel like they're ready for the information, then I might tell them my perspective. But I don't really feel like they need to hear it right now, especially right now because they don't, you know, that's me, right? But that's not the other half. The other half is saying whatever they want to say about me. You know what I mean? So it's a situation, but it is what it is. And what ends up happening is that all that negativity that's happening in that environment creates negativity in the world because due to the lack thereof positivity because of the negativity, something's going to creep in that's going to end up causing a negative situation somewhere down the line, whether it's they think a certain way because of the fact that they've been told these things. Like let's put it like this. If let's just say I'm assuming I don't I don't know what gender you are, but if let's just say you're the guy that created you. Let's just put it like that. The guy that created you. If the guy that created you, because obviously it takes a man, a female, and a male. If the male that created you means a lot to you, but then the female that created you starts to talk bad about that male, even though you had an amazing relationship with that male, how do you think that that's going to affect you? You think it's going to affect you at all? I mean, it may not seem like anything significant at an early age, but if you think about it, it all sits in your subconscious, and then when you get old enough to tap back into that, then it's a wrap. It's a wrap because it's gonna take over, and because you weren't taught how to deal with those emotions at a young age. Now that you're older, when those emotions come, you're really not gonna know how to deal with them. You're just gonna react however you feel the need to. You know what I'm saying? So that's like when it comes to psychology, like personally, when it comes to mental illness and things like that. Like I don't I feel like that is I don't want to say it the wrong way because I know that people have issues, but I feel like it's been turned into something that it isn't. So what I'm saying as far as that is that I feel like we already know. Like if we really wanted to talk about why people are behaving in a certain manner that's very random or very abstract or very outside of a specific standard that people have been raised to think should be, I think we know the answer. I think we all know the answer. We just want to ignore it because we want to try to put a name on it to try to get me. I'm honestly I don't know why, but I think that it's very simple to answer that question. What's the issue? What's the issue? Because of the fact that one of the things that I don't agree with 100% is the fact that they feed people drugs. And like they give people something that they technically shouldn't have, but because someone said under the authority of this thing, it said that you can have this, but this is has so many side effects that can cause so many different things that are almost better than what the hell you're going through to an extent. Like it's crazy. But for example, if we were to all just be 100% honest with each other, like these agencies, the government, these people, it's sad because there's so much manipulation, like law enforcement, right? There's cops, right? And if you think about it, there used to be cops, now they're law enforcement. You know, cops used to be people that were in your neighborhood that would help if there was a need. Now, law enforcement doesn't care if you have a need. They're going to enforce the laws that were created by whatever governor, state, whatever it is that they're supposed to follow, whatever they're supposed to implement. They're going to make sure they implement them. See what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, there's decent people. I'm going to say decent because if you're doing something that you know you shouldn't be doing, or if you're doing something that imposes on anyone in any way, you're doing that and you know you're doing that, then you're not a good person. So there are some people that know what they're doing and they try to mitigate it or avoid it unless it's absolutely necessary, which that I would consider a decent person. But the only reason why I would say decent is because still involved in a situation where you might have to impose on somebody simply because you're trained to do so. You're not doing it correctly. You're not doing it because it's right. You're doing it because legally you're told, or based on some documents, you're told that that's what you're supposed to do. So it doesn't matter if someone doesn't want you to. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother conversation because it's not about whether that person is guilty or not. It's about, let's just say, somebody's somebody's jaywalking. I mean, maybe that's not a thing anymore. Maybe you don't get a ticket for that anymore. But I mean, I'm supposed to allow you to come and be intrusive and grab me and all these crazy things just because of the fact that something exists that says that I'm not supposed to do something that I have the ability to do, but simply because you don't want me to do it, I'm not supposed to do it. That's not a crime. You know what I'm saying? And you haven't answered my question, but I'll tell you the answer. You know, the definition of a crime, just so you know, is that in in order for a crime to exist, there has to be a victim, right? So that means is that if if I committed a crime, that means that I either hurt you, stole something from you, or damaged something that you own. You know what I'm saying? I had to do one of those three things. And if none of those three things exist, there's no crime. So when you're told or when you're manipulated to think that you driving without a license, or you're manipulated to think that when you get pulled over for a busted tail light, let's just say you're following the rules, you have a license, you know, because you're told and you're taught to believe that that's what you need to be able to drive. Now you have that, right? To be able to conduct an automobile conveyance. You know, there's so many words for it, and that's another topic for another day, which is language. You know, the manipulation of language, so of words actually. So if if you have your license and you know you're doing your best to follow the rules, and then let's just say you got a rush, you're in a rush because you got to go somewhere, and you go maybe 5-10 miles an hour speed limit, right? Depending on the law enforcement officer, you could still get a ticket. You know what I'm saying? So it really depends on how they feel that day. But if they need the speed, and what most people use it in their defense is, but there was an emergency, right? So who makes it right for them to break the rules, but then we have to be subservient not only to the rule breakers, but to those who are supposed to impose those rules. That's it's just it's not consistent. You know what I'm saying? Not consistent. You know, if somebody's in a rush, The fact of the matter is that if you're in a rush and you need to go somewhere, just like anything else, be careful. Now, if you cause some type of situation that damages someone or someone's property in any way, then you're going to be responsible for it. Simple as that. And if you want to try to avoid being responsible, then that's when the legal system that exists is supposed to get involved, not before that. See what I'm saying? The way it's created, the way it was created. That's the intention behind the way it was created. You know, now they just try to, oh, well, we're scared that people can drive cars and do random things. So, you know what we'll do? We'll create permits, we'll create licenses, you know, we'll create registrations, we'll create all this stuff, insurance, make sure that everyone has to have an insurance. So, we'll create all these things. And although you think and you're led to believe that it's about your safety, what you're not seeing is that they're getting paid off of that, off of your fear. They're getting paid. And if you say something like, oh, well, it's not a lot. I mean, I get it. I get the reason behind the payment. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot. But think about how many other people have been manipulated to pay that amount. So how much money do you think they're actually assuming? You see what I'm saying? And if that's a government agency, then shouldn't that money go right back into the resources that you're supposed to have because you're a government citizen, or you're a citizen of the state, or a citizen of the country, or however it is that you want to look at it? But you don't get any accountability to that. Like, you're not important enough to stand up and say, well, I pay this and I pay that. Every time I buy something, I pay taxes. Every time I, at the whenever whatever the season for taxes, you file your taxes, whatever it is that you do. Or when you're getting paid, you allow them to take money out of your check. Not allow them, because nowadays it's arbitrary. Like, there's no choice. You can't choose to not pay taxes when taxes is a voluntary situation. But but you probably don't know that. And if you do, then that goes to show where the inconsistencies are. That's one of the inconsistencies that are all over us. They're all around us. You know what I mean? And my intention is to try to get to the bottom of those things, and just to be able to talk about them so that collectively we can all understand what's possible. Because I don't know what's possible. I don't know the solution. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the answers, but I'm pretty sure we can get there. I'm I'm more than 100% sure we can get there, because if we created this, we can if we if let's just say hypothetically, if the people created this system, the people can take this system away. So the same thing that we can create, we can also destroy. And I don't want to say destroy, because I guess it just sounds like a bad, like a negative word. I would say that the same way that we created something, I guess we can dismantle it. Because technically, I'm not one to say that we don't need to have certain standards. I'm not one to say that. I guess you can say I'm an anarchist, and that's another thing. Anarchy has been misrepresented, because anarchy, like Sons of Anarchy, I don't know if you've seen the show, but Sons of Anarchy are like this biker gang that they drive around, they do whatever they want, and they basically run the city reckless, right? So it's more or less giving you that perception of anarchy being something reckless. Not only that, the majority of the time you see anarchy, it's painted with blood, or it's presented in a negative way. And what I've come to learn is that the true definition of anarchy means that there's no rulers. Basically, rule yourself. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that you're you have any less responsibility over your actions. It just means that there's not this one person regulating everybody. It just means that everyone is regulating themselves. And the best way to say it is that if you are able to deal with your neighbors, if you're able to take responsibility for yourself and be respectful and get acquainted with your neighbors, your community, and build a community where everyone understands, you know, hey, you can, just as long as you don't break none of my stuff, as long as you don't, and then if let's just say something like, oh, radios exist now, there's music, you put your music real loud. Hey, look, I just appreciate you. I live next door. Just I got to work at a certain time. Please, just after this time, can you please try to keep it down? And it goes from there. Now, people are gonna have to go through situations in order for people to understand each other, but if the common understanding for the standard to be is not treat someone the way you wouldn't like to be treated, that's the common standard amongst human beings, then that won't be an issue. Things like that are an issue now because there's a lot of negativity in the world, a lot of recklessness already existing. So there's no way to absolutely have something work from 1 minute to the next because a lot of people aren't going to agree with it. They're not going to believe it. They're not going to have, they're not going to trust that it has potential because people have been deceived already before. Oh, damn, I went way past my time. I don't know if you're still there, Abel, but I know somebody is. I appreciate you for stopping by. I appreciate you for sticking around. I thought I disconnected that. Definitely appreciate you. So yeah, I'm gonna put a show. What I'm gonna do is this specific type of show. I'm gonna try to do Saturdays. I mean Fridays. If not, then I'll postpone it to Saturday or Sunday, depending on what I got going on. But I'm intending on doing this once a week. And what I do want to do is talk about topics. But so with that said, I'm gonna put something together and have the real ID topic, but with more bullet points and more, you know what I'm saying, like a more like a presentation type thing, and have something like that so that I can show while we're talking about it, I can basically reference. Damn, I got something in my mouth. I'm trying to get it out. So I can be able to reference and I can be able to keep going with bullet points instead of just going on a rant. Because I feel like I know that I can start babbling, and I say babbling because I just keep going. I wouldn't like for it to be seen that way. Is it a huge delay? All right, let me see on mixer. I'm gonna try to check something out quick and see. Since you're on mixer, all right, write something now to see how long it takes. Because what I might have to do is I might have to open up the chat on all three channels or all three platforms so it can be a quicker response. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm waiting for you to say something to see if Okay, I see you joined it. Okay, how seems like it's going. So I'm using Restream, and I'm streaming to 3 different platforms, right? So I'm streaming to Mixer, YouTube, and I'm waiting for you Twitch. To say something to now, see if, what I noticed is because I have the channel up, and as soon as it pops up on Mixer, it pops up on my Restream chat, so I'm able to see it. I'm able to see it. I mean, I don't know how long that was. Like, if you want to test it again, let me write. I'm using Restream. So like write test 2 and kind of like time it to see how long it takes. Right? So I'm streaming to Mixer, or YouTube, I guess for me to see it or for me to respond to it. Now, what I noticed is because I have the channel up, so then I can try to keep track of that and maybe check the settings. My Restream chat. So like 30 seconds. I'm able to see it. I think because I'm using Restream, I know there's a delay because of Restream. And then also, I have a time delay on my stream, 20 seconds. So that might be the complete 30 seconds right there. I guess for me to see it, or for so the main reason why I have that is because my system. So then I can try to keep track. I'm not sure if it's gonna handle it without the delay. I mean, I can try it since I'm not playing a game. 30 seconds. Because the delay is mainly because of gameplay. I stream. I know there's a delay. I mean, I play video games. And then also, so I will next time I'll write a note so that I take off the time delay on my streaming software on OBS. But even if I take that off, there's gonna be at least a 10-second delay because of the restream. Because it's going to 3 different. I don't know if it's a complete 10 seconds. So don't quote me on it. But it'll definitely be less than 20 seconds. I mean, I play video because of the fact that I'm gonna remove it in hopes that the stream will still be good quality. Because I don't want to, I don't want to. So that I take off the time delay. I don't want to compromise on the quality. Streaming software on OBS. But I definitely appreciate you sticking around, entertaining the conversation, because it's going to 3 different. Definitely be more conversations to come. So don't quote me on it. But it'll definitely be less than 20 seconds. I mean, I play video. Because of the definitely going to be a lot more organized when it comes to the actual show, or the actual topics, I should say. Because I want to make sure that I stick to the points. I don't want to kind of keep babble. I don't want to go in a tangent all the time. Because as you can see, if you notice, I mean, obviously, but I can go into a tangent, kind of really, really go there, and it's probably not necessary. I may feel like it's necessary for me to just speak it, but I don't want to lose you guys or not provide entertaining content. Because I want this to be entertaining, but also educating or educational. Because as you can see, if you notice, whether it's learning something new as far as information or learning something new as far as a perspective, really, you know what I'm saying? Really go there. And it's probably not necessary. All right, well, I hope you got something from this. I hope you enjoyed it, man. Thanks again. I appreciate you. Thanks for everybody who stopped by. I see there's 2 more people here. I appreciate you guys too for stopping by. Next Saturday, I'm gonna put it on the schedule. Next Saturday from like noon. No, from like 1 to 2. Might push it to 3, maybe. Depends. So from 1 o'clock, I'm gonna start streaming this talk show every Saturdays, unless something comes up. If not, if something does come up, follow me on Twitter, and I'll make sure that I post any changes to any of my schedules. If also, if you're not gonna be watching the show Saturdays, you can also watch me stream gameplay. I play the Division. Sometimes I play other stuff. Really depends on what's going on. Right now, though, I'm on the Division trying to get them commendations. But yeah, that's my grind right there. Alright, so consistency will be out for tonight, but I'm very excited about this. I'm happy. Oh wait, what am I saying? Friday, not Saturday, Friday. Excuse me, Friday. I'm shooting for Fridays, every Friday. If not, then I'll postpone it to either Saturday or Sunday. But at least once a week, I'm gonna have this show going. I really want to be able to connect with people, have the conversations, be able to talk about something that means something and learn, whether it's information or perspective, you know, experience, however it is. Let's learn.
Excited about this.
All right, everybody.
Oh
Have a good
wait,
one.
what am I saying? Friday, not Saturday, Friday.